Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Nice to see everybody here today. Well, today in Maine, it snowed from, let's see, it started like at 2 a.m. and it is now 6:43 p.m. and it's still snowing. And amazing as that might sound for March, we don't have a lot of snow on the ground per se, but it's been a constant snow, and for some reason or other they haven't put any plows out there yet on the side roads like in the neighborhoods yet. But it's pretty slippery out there, suffice to say. But yeah, so we're actually getting our first. You know, I'm not going to say the first snowfall, but it's probably our longest one of the winter, and we're getting it here in March. Of course, I know I've seen snow on my father's birthday, which is in May, believe it or not. I've seen that once in the 80s, I think it was. We actually got a little bit of snow on May. But you know, Maine weather is always unpredictable. So. But it doesn't stop people from going out there and driving around. So I imagine there's been, you know, some accidents out there. But you know, if you drive careful, I guess you're okay with that. Which is more than I can say for people in California who are getting snow in the amount they're getting for the first time. And, you know, I don't know how long. Certainly for the new generation of people living out there, this is very unusual for them. Considering that they, you know, it's been dry, very dry out there, you know, and they've had droughts and everything. And they think people are hoping that all the snow will end the drought, but they're saying you're going to need way more snow than that to end the drought. The drought. I mean, it's helped a little bit, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to have to, you know, stop conserving water. So they're going to need a lot more snow than that in order for them to actually replace or replenish, you know, the water that they don't have last summer. So that's going to be, you know, I guess, you know, yeah. I mean, it's like what I told a friend of mine, you know, a few years back. You know, the less snow we get around here in Maine, which we haven't really got much snow in Maine this year. You know, it's really weird. I mean, we've gotten cloudy and cold weather, a little bit of rain, and some small snow, like an inch to 2 inch category. Okay, and that's been like, you know, once a month. But we haven't really been getting a lot of snow. So I say, you know, they tell you there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. So that shit's got to land somewhere, right? If it's not going to be here, it's going to be somewhere. So, well, the snow we're not getting here is falling down in California. Okay? That's the way I look at it, you know, how I reason it out. It's like, you know, if you have as much moisture in the air as they say there is because of all the glaciers melting and all that shit, okay, then the kind of snow we're getting doesn't calculate into how much moisture is up there. We're not getting it, you know. So it's got to be landing somewhere. it's got to be going somewhere. And right now, California is getting a chunk of that moisture falling down in snow. Unfortunately for them, when summer comes, there probably won't be any moisture at all coming down in California. It'll be landing somewhere else. But that's the way it works. You can't keep all that water in the air. It has to come down. Okay, so areas of the country are seeing, unruly kind of weather. And they're seeing rains and snow and all this stuff. So even though here in Maine, we're seeing a slight change of our weather patterns here, in other parts of the country, you're going to see bigger changes in weather patterns. They'll be more affected than we are. And so that only stands to reason. But yes, that's what's going on here weather-wise. And heck of a, excuse me, heck of a week here. And this story here from Hollywood from actor Woody Harrelson caught my eye because with things going on, with the COVID situation here, I was kind of surprised that he had this position on what was going on out there. And so I'm going to read you this article, and it's from the Daily Caller. The story was written by Kay Smythe, and it's entitled, "Not a Free Country. Woody Harrelson Blasts Hollywood for Pushing Forced Vaccination." Actor Woody Harrelson held nothing back during an interview in February with the New York Times where he blasted mandates and COVID-19 protocols. Harrelson conducted the interview to promote his new film Champions, but things took a turn when he was asked about his perspective on the movie business evolution since the 90s. Quote, "Now to get an indie done, especially with all the COVID protocols, which to me are rather absurd, I don't know what's going to happen," unquote, Harrelson said at the end of his response. The reporter immediately pushed Harrelson on what he felt was absurd about COVID protocols. Quote, "I don't think that anybody should have the right to demand that you're forced to do the testing, forced to wear the mask, and forced to get vaccinated 3 years on. I'm just like, let's be done with this nonsense," unquote. Harrelson shot back, stating that all of the above was not fair on the crews who put movies together. Quote, "I don't have to wear the mask. Why should they? Why should they have to be vaccinated? How's that not up to the individual? I shouldn't be talking about this. It makes me angry for the crew," unquote. Harrelson did continue with the expletive he shouldn't be talking about. Quote, "The anarchist part of me, I don't feel that we should have forced testing, forced masking, and forced vaccination. That's not a free country," unquote. Bless the heart of the New York Times reporter who responded with what I felt was a really passive-aggressive moment on how one of the big lessons from the pandemic is how irrational people are at assessing risk and handling another's comfort levels of risk. Like, what the heck does that mean? What risk? What about personal choice? Clearly this weird statement didn't get too under Harrelson's skin, as all he said was, quote, "Yeah, anyway, as an anarchist, I don't do well with mandates," unquote. Harrelson made headlines Saturday after appearing on, quote, "Saturday Night Live," unquote, and focusing part of his opening monologue on the cartels behind mass force vaccination. I knew Harrelson was pretty cool, especially after he described himself as a redneck hippie on Saturday Night Live, but I had no idea he was the coolest guy in Hollywood right now. Okay. Here's my take on it. Woody Harrelson obviously seems a bit tired of having to do the things that, one has to do in order to protect themselves from COVID. And to be perfectly honest, if Hollywood didn't have forced mandates, it would come to a grinding halt because people would not want to show up for work, feeling like they could be exposed to the virus, and people would just not come in and they wouldn't be able to make any movies. So naturally, Hollywood is going to side with protection over the individual. And they're not gonna lose money because, you know, a few actors or people at work are afraid to get or not afraid to get sick. Okay, they're not going to do that. You know, it would be unfair to ask certain people that they don't have to wear a mask when everybody else does. Okay, nobody's saying that, you know, an actor doesn't have to get vaccinated because they're an actor. What they're saying is that we're not going to force you. Okay, but everybody else is going to be protected around you so they don't get sick. All right, which is weird because you would think that the people that they could sacrifice behind the camera can be replaced. Actors cannot. So the fact is that, you know, actors, maybe they should be forced to get at least vaccinated because, you know, when they're doing a movie or something like that, they can't afford to lose the actor midway through a movie. Okay, they can't do that. So it's like I said, in the world of Hollywood, where everybody is working on a movie or a TV show or something, Hollywood would come to a grinding halt if they didn't have some kind of mandate to protect people that work in the industry. It's simple as that. I don't see how Harrelson doesn't understand that. Okay, it would seem to be a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. This other story here that I found involves Kellyanne Conway, and she was on Fox News here yesterday, and the article was written about it on Huffington Post. Josephine Harvey wrote it, entitled "Kellyanne Conway Brazenly Gaslights Fox News Viewers with Bizarre Challenge." Kellyanne Conway, famous purveyor of quote-unquote alternative facts, went on Fox News on Wednesday to attack the press for being dishonest. The former Trump White House counselor joined Sean Hannity for a segment about the, quote, lying, corrupt media mob, unquote. As an on-screen graphic called it, ostensibly referring to all mainstream media that isn't Fox News. Quote, I want to challenge people watching tonight who don't wear red hats, don't consider themselves MAGA, don't consider themselves very strong political people, unquote. Conway told viewers of the right-wing network, which is currently fighting a $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit for amplifying lies about the 2020 presidential election. Quote, I want you to ask yourself how many times you've been lied to, not just by this government, but how many times you were lied to by the people whose job it is to tell you the truth in the media, unquote. She continued, quote, all in the service of getting the president. Trump derangement syndrome is real, unquote. Last month, a legal filing in the Dominion voting system lawsuit revealed that Fox News hosts, including Hannity, had privately expressed major doubts about Donald Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was rigged in Joe Biden's favor. Hannity, for example, allegedly called Trump allies promoting this claim effing lunatics in one text exchange. Yet, according to the owner of the network, he apparently still lent credence to the Facebook falsehoods on air. In a January deposition, Rupert Murdoch, chairman of News Corp, acknowledged Hannity and several other Fox News hosts had all, quote-unquote, endorsed the notion of a stolen presidential election. She's going on Fox bitching about the media lying. But she won't include Fox in that list of media that lies, right? You know, from what planet does she come from anyway, where she's just, you know, so dead to the world, you know, I guess common sense wise, that she would say something like that without people laughing their ass off at her, because it seems to me like she was called up and said, will you come on the show and say something good about Fox? Because I have a feeling that Fox News's ratings aren't as strong as they used to be. Especially since, you know, Trump's been attacking Fox, and Hannity. I mean, there's, you got what's her? I can't remember her friggin' name. She used to be a Democrat. She's on there, and she kind of jumped on Lauren Boebert's butt. And so, Fox has been doing some things there that doesn't, some Republicans aren't feeling very comfortable with, because they're not completely on board with the hard line. Okay, so I think that this was a way of Fox kind of hitting back, by getting somebody there to kind of defend them for, making up a lie that they're honest and all that. Well, like the article said, they're in the middle of a defamation lawsuit over $1 billion. Okay, $1.5 billion, and it's just, and it's getting nasty. It's really getting nasty, and some people are saying it doesn't look like Fox really has a good chance of winning this. They're really going to have to play dirty, but you're going up against a big company here, and who knows how it's going to shake down. But it would be nice to see Fox lose this, because for a long time they've been telling people as a defense against the lies that they tell, that no reasonable person, no intelligent person could possibly believe anything they hear when they watch Fox. Well, if that being the case, the next question is, then why would people want to watch Fox if they don't want to believe anything? Why waste all those minutes, hours, and days and years of their life listening to bullshit on TV if they know it's bullshit? Okay, even science fiction is spent better watching than watching Fox if what people say about Fox is true. Why should anybody even bother tuning into that channel if they admit in court that no reasonable person would ever watch Sean Hannity? No reasonable person would ever watch Tucker Carlson, okay, and believe what they say, because they'll know it's all lies, okay? And that's been their defense for a long time, years before. That kept them from getting in trouble with the FCC or whatever you want to call it. That's how they defend themselves. They're trying to do that now in this defamation case, and I don't think it's winning over much approval here, because I think people are getting tired of the narrative. They're getting tired of hearing that excuse from Fox that no reasonable person. Okay, and so the truth is that there has to be liability when people defame a corporation that's selling anything, okay? Whether it be voting machines or cars or clothes or toys or whatever, what have you, okay? You can't go out there and say shit like that with no proof and nothing, and not get a phone call saying, you're in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. We don't care who you are, but you're going to hear from us, And hey, at some point, Fox, whoever, Murdoch there, whatever, is going to have to say, look, it's costing us big time to do what we've been doing, because we just come out of a lawsuit. We lost $1.5 billion, and we can't keep doing this, going down this road, because all the profits we make are going to go to paying off our legal fees. So what benefit does Fox bring Rupert Murdoch when shit like this happens? And it's probably going to happen a lot more frequently later on with Fox, hosts doing what they've been doing. Sooner or later, they're going to say something else about a company or whatever, and they're going to get hit with another defamation lawsuit. So how long do you think Fox is going to survive with the mandate that they have? Okay, I'm surprised it's lasted this long, to be honest, and I'm surprised it's taken this long for anybody to hold Fox over the fire for the things they say, because look at all the politicians that they've smeared through the mud without any proof over the years, or trying to twist things that they say. And they take something that's said and then they twist it around that it means something else, okay? How many times have they done that? And they've gotten away with it. I mean, I think more people are going to have to be more assertive with that company and say, look, if I hear anything coming out of Fox that's not true, I'm going to sue them. Okay? If everybody did that got slammed by Fox in some way or other, okay, that would really put a knot in their ass, wouldn't it? I mean, it would just I mean, you can't keep doing shit like that forever. I mean, when people sit back and they just take it and they don't fight back, that's just giving them more incentive to keep doing it. And what happens when they keep doing it? They make people believe that what they're saying is true. Because, hey, they're not fighting it. They're not coming out and saying that's a lie. They're not taking them to court, so it must be true. That's the way people reason who watch Fox News. If they don't see lawsuits coming out of the people that they attack, then hey, it must be true. Fair enough. Now, this other story is something that a lot of people have been talking about all last year, actually, about our war in Russia and what all these sanctions are going to do to the country after a time. Okay, and people that I listen to on YouTube that are from Russia have said that it's getting very difficult for Russia to get new parts for things. And they were speaking specifically about the airline industry over there, how now that they have sanctions that they got to deal with, they can't buy replacement parts for their passenger airplanes. And so here we fast forward to today, and we have this story come out from Business Insider. It's entitled "Terrifying Video of Russian Plane Losing Cabin Pressure Mid-Flight Shows How Dangerous It's Gotten to Fly in Russia." Passengers on a flight from Sochi to Krasnoyarsk in Russia scrambled to pull on their oxygen masks as the plane is forced to make an emergency landing. The lights are dimmed, a baby can be heard screaming, and a woman is seen holding her ears. All of the 167 passengers and 8 crew members on the Boeing 737 last week made it safely on the ground. State-owned news outlet RIA Novosti reported. Okay, this is coming from Russian news, okay. The flight was operated by state-owned Rossiya Airlines, which is part of the Aeroflot Group, Russia's largest airline. But for many passengers, the experience was incredibly scary. One woman, identified only as Yulia, said she was writing a goodbye message to her husband as the plane rapidly descended. And they have a video here of it. Let me see if I can't get that on here so you can see that. So yeah, that was what somebody, an 18-second video had made in the plane as it was descending there. Quote, "The plane seemed to be falling and we flew down at incredible speed toward the ground. It was scary," she said, according to Mail Online. Quote, "I buckled up and after that I put on an oxygen mask. There was not enough oxygen. I was already starting to suffocate," unquote. Musician Andrei Sultanov, who was also on the flight and verified the video to Insider, said, quote, "The plane turned out to be ancient. The masks of the passengers next to me didn't even fall down. Thank God we landed," unquote. The main federal investigating authority in Russia told RIA Novosti that the flight was forced to land, quote, "due to depressurization of the aircraft cabin," unquote, adding that an investigation is ongoing. The emergency landing in Krasnoyarsk is just the latest of a string of alarming incidents happening on Russian flights. In January alone, there have already been at least 7 incidents with Russian airlines, according to a report by the independent Russian news outlet Arbat. One flight had to make an emergency landing due to a faulty toilet system, while another was forced to land due to an air conditioning malfunction. One expert told Insider that flying in Russia could become increasingly dangerous. After Russia launched its attack on Ukraine last year, the country's aviation industry was hit by a slew of Western sanctions. In response, Russia illegally seized hundreds of leased aircraft owned by international companies but operated by Russian airlines. Because of the sanctions, Russia is not able to service these aircraft or get spare parts delivered, leading to a decline in airline safety. Quote, access to spare parts which are sanctioned is very limited, unquote. Dennis Brailsford, the head of asset management at the UK's leading aviation consultancy group IBA, told Insider, quote, and the ability for Russian airlines to perform repairs on those parts is very limited, unquote. Quote, therefore, the ability for Russian airlines to maintain and repair their aircraft will become more and more difficult over time. That could result in more of these events occurring, unquote, he added. The lack of access even prompted the Kremlin to legalize cannibalization earlier this year, which means Russian engineers can now remove serviceable parts from one plane to keep another one flying. Russia has denied there are any problems with its aviation industry, with the head of Russia's aviation agency, Alexander Narodko, telling state media in January, quote, I am confident that it has not become more dangerous to fly, unquote. And of course they're going to say that. So like I said, this was coming, this problem here. And even though they're denying that it's really a big problem, if it isn't now, it soon will be. Okay, they've been flying the same aircraft, and the aircraft they're flying are, you know, they need help. They need repairs, and they're not getting it. So naturally, that means that, you know, if you're a Russian and you're going to take a flight somewhere, you better have your life insurance ready, because you're probably not going to make it. And what will happen is you'll see Putin try to come out and blame the United States or the West or whatever for all these fatalities. Oh, they're killing innocent civilians by these sanctions, and, you know, further trying to twist the knot that it's our fault these bad things are happening to Russia. And of course, Fox News will jump on that argument, helping promote Putin by saying the same damn thing. So you expect to hear these kind of things coming in the near future from the Russian apologist Fox News. They're going to defend Putin by saying, you know, we are hurting Russian people, the people that are innocent and don't have anything to do with the war going on, that we're killing them. And of course, their sycophants will believe that. And like I said in the previous video, the only people who can stop this war in Ukraine is Russia. Okay, they started it, they can finish it. All they got to do is pull back their forces out of Ukraine, okay, and that's it. The fighting would stop, okay? And Ukraine is not the one that started this fighting, because if it was, Ukraine would be launching missions inside Russia, okay? They wouldn't be just fighting, defending their own country. They would be putting out offensive forces into Russia. And they haven't. They haven't done that not one time, okay? All they've been doing is trying to keep the Russians out of their country. That's it. Does that sound like a Nazi type invading force in Russia? You know, did Nazis back in World War II just stay inside Germany to keep other countries out? No, they got attacked because they went out across their borders and went into other countries and tried to take their countries. That's what started that. Okay, that's what started World War II. What started this war here is not Ukraine marching out beyond its borders into Russia. It was Russia just covertly marching into Ukraine by lying to the international community. We're just doing tests. Remember, they were saying we were just doing some tests, training tests and all this stuff. That's why we got 10,000 tanks, moving in towards the border of Ukraine. This is all a big, exercise. That's what they were telling everybody. And then all of a sudden, whoops, they started going into Ukraine one friggin' early morning here in the United States. Okay, they totally lied to the whole world that they were going to do this. That they were doing that. That this was just a peaceful exercise training thing, and that's what even the soldiers thought that. Because I remember the press were interviewing some of the soldiers, and they said the same thing. We're not invading. It's just an exercise. They didn't know. They didn't know until the last minute when they got the orders handed down to them that this was actually an invasion of Ukraine. Then they had to go in. Okay. So don't, whatever you hear from Fox about how good Russia is, Don't believe that for a fucking second, okay? That is not true at all. Okay, I'm not saying that the Russian people are bad people, okay? I'm saying that because they have such a rotten government over there, these people are really not in the know. They have no idea what's going on, okay? They're getting their information from a government-controlled organization, okay, that's masquerading as a press agency, being handed all this propaganda to keep the public on their side, to keep the public under control. They certainly don't want a rise in riots in Moscow, okay? And, you know, Putin's already nervous enough as it is, thinking that somebody's going to show up behind his head with a gun. You definitely want to keep the people in line. So, what's happening in Russia is Russia's fault. These planes that are destined to crash all over the damn place, it's his fault. Because he won't stop what he's doing. He won't stop what he's fucking doing. And Ukraine is not in a position to make Russia come to a table. Okay, they're on the defensive here. Okay, they've got no leverage over Russia to say, look, you come to the peace table, we'll talk. Okay, they have no leverage. All they have is their weapons to defend themselves. And right now, unless they were marching on Moscow, they don't have any fucking leverage to declare, a ceasefire so we can negotiate. Only Russia can do that. And since the United States is officially not in war with Russia, only Ukraine can be the one to negotiate this thing out, not the United States. Okay, we're just giving them weapons to fight, but this war is really between Ukraine and Russia. So right now, Russia has the upper hand, and for them to scream, "Oh, they won't talk peace with us," it's not their. The ball isn't in their court for that. It's in your court. The person with the advantage here to stop this war is Russia, because they got they have the means to keep going with this. So, like I said, don't listen to Fox News and believe what they're telling you. In fact, don't even watch that fucking channel, okay? Because all you're going to hear from that is the worst form of science fiction you're ever going to get. Okay? Because, it would be one thing if they had a disclaimer after the end of every monologue or every, talk show that they have on there. It would be fine if they had a disclaimer. But they don't even have that. So for them saying, "Oh, no reasonable person would believe what we say," that would be true if they had a disclaimer at the end of everything they did. Okay? But they don't. And so they want you to believe what they say. Even though it sounds ridiculous most of the time, they know some people will believe. And that makes you wonder, well, then if they want you to believe what they're saying, what's the point? What are they trying to do? Okay? If they're on the outside, on one side of their mouth, they're saying nobody would believe us, and then on the other side of the mouth, they're still doing what they're doing because they think people do believe what they say, then why are they doing it? It can't be just for the money, although it could be a big influence. But the purpose of their show isn't about just arbitrarily telling lies about anything. They're all about politics. So think about that. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This fall, make a brilliant getaway to Maine. Start planning your Maine vacation at visitmaine.com. You'll find hundreds of fall getaway packages filled with exciting special offers. You can also request your free Maine travel planner. Come discover, there's more to Maine.
Colleagues and I seem to have wildly different definitions of what actually is considered inflationary. While Republicans have labeled virtually any federal spending during the pandemic as inflationary, while railing against the child tax credit that helped babies continue to be fed and diapers on their bottoms, that helped families stitch things together, while they've railed against the eviction moratoriums and the Paycheck Protection Act, Moody's Analytics found that the American Rescue Plan prevented this country from slipping into a double-digit recession. Because of the American Rescue Plan and the actual Inflation Reduction Act that Democrats passed last year, our country's inflation rate is now lower than in the UK, Canada, and 20 other European Union member states.
Hey y'all, I'm out here at our outdoor shower trying out Manscaped's new body wash. It smells amazing. It comes in this 16-ounce aluminum can with a pump, which I love. It's infused with aloe vera and sea salt, which gives the perfect combination of tough cleaning and soothing hydration. After you cleanse with your refined body wash, grab your Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 waterproof trimmer and shave when your skin is properly prepped for trimming.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
This came out an hour ago, actually, while I'm sitting here doing this program from USA Today. Story by Bart Jansen. It says, DOJ to appeals court. Donald Trump can be sued over role in January 6th Capitol riot. The Justice Department said today that former President Donald Trump doesn't deserve absolute immunity from 3 civil lawsuits accusing him of inciting the Capitol attack on January 6, 2021. Quote, No part of a president's official responsibilities includes the incitement of imminent private violence, unquote. Department lawyer said in an appeals court filing, quote, by definition, such conduct plainly falls outside the president's constitutional and statutory duties, unquote. A 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals will decide whether to allow the lawsuits to continue. The panel heard oral arguments about whether to dismiss the case in December, cases, plural, in December, but asked the Justice Department to weigh in. Chief Judge Srivanson and Judges George Katsas and Judith Rogers are hearing the case. Srivanson was appointed to the appeals court by Barack Obama, Katsas by Trump, and Rogers by Bill Clinton. They cost millions, and last year's the U.S. now has 3 of them. Here's what we know about the case. What are the lawsuits about? The 3 lawsuits each accuse Trump of inciting the riot and seek to hold him responsible for it. Nearly 1,000 people have been charged in the attack, and a mob rampaged through the Capitol and temporarily prevented Congress from counting electoral college votes. One rioter was shot to death outside the House chamber by a police officer. A police officer was sprayed by chemicals during the attack, died the next day from a stroke. 10 House Democrats filed a lawsuit accusing Trump of violating the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act, which sought to protect lawmakers from threats or intimidation against carrying out their duties. The lawsuit, filed in February 2021, initially named Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys, far-right groups with dozens of members charged criminally in the attack. Representative Benny Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi, initially was lead plaintiff in the lawsuit, but dropped out when he became head of the House committee that investigated the attack. The remaining litigants are current or former Representatives Bonnie Coleman, Democrat, Karen Bassett, Democrat, Pramila Jayapal, Democrat, Maxine Waters, Democrat, Gerald Nadler, Democrat, Henry Johnson, Democrat, Stephen Cohn, Democrat, Barbara Lee, Democrat, Veronica Escobar, Democrat, Marcy Kaptur, Democrat. Representative Eric Swalwell from California, Democrat, filed a lawsuit in March 2021 accusing Trump of knowing about the conspiracy to attack the Capitol and doing nothing to stop it. His lawsuits also targeted Giuliani, the former president's son, Donald Trump Jr., and Representative Mo Brooks, Republican, Alabama, who each spoke at a Trump rally near the White House before the attack. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta dropped Trump Jr., Giuliani, and Brooks from the cases by ruling their speeches at the rally and other actions didn't make them part of an alleged conspiracy. 2 Capitol Police officers, James Blasingame and Sidney Hemby, filed a lawsuit alleging Trump's conduct inciting the riot by urging his followers to try to overturn the election results. Quote, I am pleased that the DOJ made crystal clear that inciting a violent attack on the United States is well beyond the immunity afforded to any president, unquote, Swalwell said in a statement. What is Trump arguing? Trump's lawyers urged the appeals court to dismiss these lawsuits by urging that contentious speeches such as the one he gave on January 6 are part of a president's job. Quote, the underlying question here is simple. Is a president immune from civil liability when he or she gives a speech on a matter of public concern, unquote, Trump's lawyer said. Quote, the answer is undoubtedly yes, unquote. Trump's lawyers have argued he is immune from lawsuits for anything he said at the rally. They also argued he couldn't be part of any conspiracy to incite the violence because he urged participants to, quote, peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard, unquote, at the Capitol. But in allowing the cases to continue, Mehta, who is also overseeing criminal cases from the Capitol attack, noted Trump urged his supporters to, quote, fight like hell, unquote, before his supporters fought police and forced their way into the building. Quote, at the end of his remarks, he told rally-goers, we fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore, unquote, Mehta said. Trump's presidential campaign issued a statement Thursday saying he called repeatedly during the speech for peace, patriotism, and respect for law enforcement. The campaign argued federal courts should dismiss what it called frivolous lawsuits. What did the Justice Department say? Justice Department lawyers took no position on the 3 lawsuits. And they said presidents are typically protected from civil lawsuits because of their broad official duties and the difficulties distinguishing them from personal duties. But the department lawyers said no president should be able to incite violence despite Trump's claim of absolute immunity from all lawsuits. Government lawyers urged the appeals court judges to set narrow rules for the lawsuits to continue to avoid saddling a president with lawsuits that would be burdensome and intrusive even if meritless. Quote, it is not a rule of absolute immunity for the president regardless of the nature of his acts, unquote, the lawyer said. Quote, the district court also correctly rejected President Trump's categorical assertion that whatever and wherever a president speaks on a matter of public concern, he is immune from civil suit, unquote, the department lawyer said. Okay, so the idea that Trump repeatedly told folks at that rally to stop their fighting is bullshit, okay? What happened was, after almost 2-3 hours this riot was going on, they finally coaxed Trump off his chair in the Oval Office while he was watching us on TV. They finally coaxed him to go out there and make a speech to tell people to stop it, okay? He didn't want to do it, okay? He didn't want to do it. But he went and decided he was going to. And they had a camera set up and everything, and you saw you saw what he said. The fact is, it took them 6-7 times to make that recording. That wasn't even live. What you actually saw on TV that day when he was telling people to go home, we love you, and all that shit. That wasn't even a live broadcast. That was recorded because he couldn't get it straight the first 7 times they recorded it because he kept saying saying stuff to keep the riot going. Okay. Because he didn't believe what he was telling people to go home. That's why he said, go home, we love you, and all. Okay, it was a mixed message. But he didn't want that riot to stop. That was his only play that he had left to stop that certification of that election. Okay, he tried everything else, and the answer was no. Okay, so he does this bullshit thing where he gets a whole bunch of people to go hang themselves to stop an election certification. Okay, while he gets on, while he's at the Oval Office watching this unfold on TV where he can have plausible deniability. He told everybody he was going to march with them up to the Capitol and do that, and of course he lied. He wasn't there, all right? And the fact that, he only told people once to stop and go home, that's not a numerous amount of times. That was just that one time, okay? And that was it. But that's for the civil lawsuit and all that for them to decide. But the truth is, he only told people once to stop what they were doing and go home. So he wanted this thing to happen. That we know from the hearings that we saw. That the person that benefited the most from these riots was Donald Trump. Okay, because if they succeeded in stopping the certification of the election, and they kicked the votes back to the states, it was damn likely that they would have overturned the election and handed the victory over to Trump. Okay, so he was the one that benefited from this. If you ever want to find out why a crime happens, always ask yourself, well, who's benefiting from it? Okay, that's where you begin when you're looking for the truth. And where you begin here is Trump. He's the only one that could benefit from that. Certainly none of the rioters did, because a lot of them are sitting in prison for whatever, how many years. But, you know, a lot of these people are being punished. So none of them benefited from it. They did all this stuff so that way Donald Trump could benefit from it. And they were thinking, well, if we get Trump in there, he'll exonerate us all and we can go home. Well, that part of their plan didn't come through, because thankfully reason took over and these people were defeated ultimately. But it cost lives in order to do it. And that's what these people are going to have to answer for, especially Trump, since he was the spark that lit the match. Okay? And, you know, like I said, this riot wouldn't have happened if they didn't get motivated by somebody they respected a lot, you know, to go and do it. Okay? Certainly Mickey Mouse didn't inspire these people to go riot on January the 6th. Okay? And, you know, anybody else, it was Donald Trump that made that speech. Okay. And the final story here, this is about Marjorie Taylor Greene. This article from Newsweek, published today, written by Gerard Kawanga, entitled Marjorie Taylor Greene Attacked by Woman While at a Restaurant. Ooh, I'm sorry. Oh, my tears. Oh. Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said she was attacked while sitting at a table in a restaurant. Greene said a woman and her son began shouting at her like quote-unquote demons while she was working with her staff on Monday evening of February the 27th, saying that the two of them were, quote, completely out of control, unquote. Probably like the way she was during the State of the Union address here. Okay. In a tweet, Greene said, quote, I was attacked in a restaurant tonight by an insane woman and screamed at by her adult son. They had no respect for the restaurant or the staff or the other people dining or people like me who simply have different political views. Quote, they are self-righteous, insane, and completely out of control. I was sitting at my table working with my staff and never even noticed these people until they turned into demons. You know, for a minute there, I thought maybe I was talking, you know, this was coming from somebody else describing Marjorie Taylor Greene here. Quote, people used to respect others even if they had different views, but not anymore. Our country is gone, unquote. Greene did not detail at what restaurant or where the altercation occurred, probably because it didn't happen, I don't know. She also did not explain what her alleged attackers were shouting at her about. Newsweek has contacted her for comment. Greene hit the headlines earlier this month after heckling and shouting at President Joe Biden during his State of the Union address, beginning her jeering before Biden had even started speaking. When Biden accused, quote, some Republicans, unquote, of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare during his speech, Greene booed loudly at the president. Quote, instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's the majority, unquote, Biden said. Quote, you lie, liar, unquote, Greene shouted. Most recently, Greene has proven divisive for her American, quote, national divorce, unquote, proposal. Greene has said she supports the idea of splitting America into, quote, separate our ideological and political disagreements by states, unquote. She claims that despite any such separation into red and blue states, the U.S. would still maintain its legal union. Really? How's that possible? As well as a political split, Greene called for a reduction in the power and role of the federal government. She insisted it should be focused on core attributes such as, quote, the United States border and our national security, unquote. Greene, who explained her ideas in a 13-tweet thread last week, has faced both condemnation and praise for her proposals. Fox News' Laura Ingraham was particularly critical of Greene's ideas, however, and suggested their implementation would be, quote, giving up, unquote, on America. During her show on February the 21st, she said, quote, "Just because it often seems like Democrats have given up on America themselves doesn't mean ever that Republicans or conservatives should. They should not. Quote, I'm certainly not willing to give up on the states that gave us Sinatra, John Wayne, or that welcomed my grandparents from Poland. Quote, there are good, hard-working people in Illinois, in New York, in California, and Washington State who don't want to move and who are looking for new leadership, so let's give it to them," unquote. Despite the controversy on Friday, Green insisted she was happy people were speaking about her idea. In a tweet, she wrote, quote, "I'm glad to see all the debate about national divorce. I think reducing the size and power of the federal government and giving more power to the states is good for all of us. Quote, federalism is a good thing. The federal government has turned into a giant, out-of-control monster that takes a different direction with each swing of the political pendulum. People are sick of it," unquote. Okay, here's the thing, among a lot of things that she said here that I have a comment on. The only time that you would logically want to kind of reduce the size of government is when things are doing well, when there's no problems. You see what I'm saying? When you've got nothing to fix. Then it's like, okay, so some of the things we put in place to protect things, we can loosen up on. Okay? We can reel in some of the regulation because everything's moving along just fine. There's no problem. The economy's doing well. Society-wise, people seem to be getting along better. People are working. Everything's percolating just fine. We don't have any military admissions that need to be done or carried out. The country's doing well. That's the time when you start talking about, well, should we cut back a little bit on the government here some, because it seems like, the country is doing pretty well. That's the time to start talking the debate about what we could cut back on and what not to cut back on. Right now ain't that time. Okay, we got schools, we got mass killings all over this fucking country every day practically. Okay, we got an inflation problem going on. There's a war being fought on the other side of the globe here, and we're supporting that for Ukraine, so that way they can hold back the Russians as much as they can, and we have people on the right wing who are very, very, very intent on cutting social programs that a lot of people in this country depend on for their daily life. You take these things away, and a lot of people are going to just fall down through the gaps, and you're going to see our society crumble as a result. You're going to see it happen. Okay, you cannot do stuff like that overnight and expect that, people are just going to bounce back because, we're not getting Social Security anymore. Not when it costs so much to buy a carton of eggs. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is not the time to be reducing government. We need it right now to help offset what we can't fix. Problems of that scope require organizations to fix, and in this case, only the government can solve certain problems within our country because it's too big for any one person to handle. Okay, it's like asking Joe Blow, hey, go build us an interstate. Okay, yeah, him and how many other people are going to have to help. Okay, so again, you got to have organizations behind you to do things that are of a huge scope, and reducing government at this point in time is not an option. Okay, it's not an option. It might have been an option a long time back. Okay, but as things got worse, we had to implement more things in order to keep the country afloat. Okay, there's certainly ways that we could save money, like stop subsidizing corporations. Okay, we could certainly shore up a lot of money there to put in other things where people won't have to bitch about there's enough money in Social Security. Okay, we can shore that problem up right there where they got nothing to offer about a problem there. Okay, we can certainly force the rich to pay their fair share of taxes in this country. That could make things like free college a possibility for a lot of Americans. But that's something Republicans are also standing in the way of, because whenever they get into power, they cut taxes on the rich and force taxes to be driven up on everybody else because they got to make up for what the rich aren't paying for. You see what I'm saying? So as they sit there and bitch about big government, they're also the cause for why we need it. So despite what they tell you, I think realistically they like big government, because they're already out there right now telling you who you can screw, who you can, what kind of sex you are. They're out there forcing, people to be separate from others. They don't, like, what's that guy that did Dilbert? You got people like that going, don't live with black people because they're bad people. You know what I'm saying? These are people who want to get into power so they can implement this stuff into law. Okay? Talk about big government reaching into your bedrooms. I mean, what the hell? They tell women they can't have an abortion. What business is that of government to tell you you can't have that? Okay? That's not a government thing. Unless the baby that comes out has to pay a tax the minute they come out of the fucking womb. Okay? So how the hell can you justify government telling a woman what she can or can't do with her body? Okay? It's easier for people who have cancer to say, I don't want any treatment, and they die. Who's out there screaming and hollering about people? Oh, you can't kill yourself. Where the hell where are these people then that are sitting there trying to defend their saying what a woman can or can't do with her body? You don't see them out there stopping suicides. Jesus. And they certainly don't seem to give a shit about people killing people with guns. They don't have any ideas how to stop that because they don't want to think about it. They just say, hey, the gun is more important than the lives they're taking. Where does that mentality come from? I mean, oftentimes I think, if you're a Republican, you have a mental disease. You really do. You've got to. Because it takes a soul, a person that has a conscience, in order to care about other people. And if you don't have that conscience, it's easy to be a Republican because you don't care. The only thing you care about is what turns you on. Money. That's the only thing left that you could care about, that because you can do something with that to benefit yourself. But if you have a conscience, you always wonder, who's going to take care of these people? I don't like the idea that there's so many homeless out there. We got to do something to help them. Okay? I don't like the idea that we have people in wars across, over the globe. I don't want to lose my son or my daughter. There's got to be a better way to deal with our problems globally. Do you hear Republicans ever say things like that? I don't. No, they're all for shoot it down, kill them, and fight fire with fire and eye for an eye. That's the shit you get from them because they got no conscience. So to me, I feel like if you're a Republican, there is something seriously wrong. Maybe not seriously, but you're missing something in your brain. Okay, that separates an animal from a human being. Okay, these people lean more to the animalistic side of life. Okay, and they don't care. And the proof is in the pudding out there. Just listen to the things that you hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, and what's her name? I was talking about there, Conway. Another, like DeSantis, and you can name a bunch of these people. In fact, speaking of DeSantis, I mean, you just look at him. When he gives a speech, the man has absolutely no facial expression at all. Okay, it's like the guy is speaking, but what's speaking is not coming from him. It's like coming from the devil or something, and he's just the tool that he speaks through. I just feel like DeSantis is really unhinged. I really think he is, more than even Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just out of his fucking mind from money and greed and stuff like that. But DeSantis is a different kind of danger, okay? He really is. And I'll tell you, I know between the two of them, Trump or DeSantis, I would rather see Trump in the White House than DeSantis, because I'm afraid of what DeSantis could bring to Washington, D.C. I'm really afraid, because I really think that guy really has the ability to say push all the buttons and let's go to war over something that we shouldn't be doing, okay? Over something that has no reason. I could see him doing it, okay? It's like that movie. What was that movie there? I'm trying to think of it. It's an old movie with Stephen King had written there. Christ, the hell's the name of that damn thing now? I can't remember now. But it was a guy that could predict the future, and he was at a campaign rally, and when he touched this guy that was running for president, he saw what was going to happen if he became president, and he was going to start World War III. Okay, I look at DeSantis and I feel the same way. I look at that guy and I see that man as the end of this country. Okay, I really do. Because you look at what he's done to Florida down there and what he's still doing down there, it's nothing good. It really is nothing good. And I don't think he could actually bring anything good. Not that I'm saying Trump would. Okay, I'd rather neither one of them be on, running for that office. But I would rather see Trump, because Trump would do some wrong shit for the greed of it all. Okay, as and he would probably be chummy with Russia and China, okay, which would preclude, any idea that there would be any wars with them. But this guy, DeSantis, no, I don't think he'd be like that at all. He's dangerous, and I don't think he should have any more business in politics than he's done. And if people in Florida haven't learned their lesson about this guy yet, okay, then they really are as stupid as they say they are down there. Okay, they really are. But Marjorie Taylor Greene being attacked at a restaurant, if it happened, okay, because they said they couldn't confirm it. But if she was attacked, she got what she deserved, because she did the same thing to President Biden during his State of the Union address, okay? She yelled, screamed. She was drunk when she got there. They were saying that she was drunk when she arrived at that speech. And who knows how much she actually remembers from that. But, if she didn't care enough to stay sober for that, and she just let her mouth run, then she ain't got no friggin' class, okay? That woman there is, forget it. All right. And the idea that, she has this idea of splitting the country up into separate little nations. Oh, we're still a union. No, we wouldn't be. Because once you go down that road of dividing up the country into that, it only goes further. After a while, it's easier to say we're no longer part of the union. Okay, you take that first step by allowing states to be either red or blue. Okay, and be, they have Republican control or Democrat control. Once you start doing that, it's so much easier to say, well, we're not even going to mess with the federal government anymore. Let the blue or let the red take care of it. That's the way it'll end up. Okay, so her idea is only going to lead to that, to divisiveness that will just further anchor the split that's already happening in this country. Okay, to the point where it could never come back together again, unless some measure of outside influence would bring it back together. I don't know what would happen, but it's not a good idea for a union to be a union and still split. Okay, I mean, we are fundamentally always at war with ourselves politically, okay, but everybody gets to say something, and a state can be purple, okay, and still be part of the union, okay? So, yeah, in that way we can be divisive, but it's not like, well, if you're this way, then you have to live in this state, or if you're that way, you got to live in that state. We're not going down that road yet, but people like her, she's not the only one that's thinking like that. I can guarantee you that. She is amongst a lot of people on the right who feel that way. And it's funny, it's only the right wing talking this shit, right? You don't hear anybody on the left say we ought to be, a red or blue state country. Okay, you don't see that. So it's always the right wing that's doing that. So that means it's beneficial to the right wing, or at least in her mind it is, to have a country made up like that. Okay, I don't know. Everybody's trying to scratch their head, figuring out, well, how do we benefit from a country divided like that? We may not see it now, but sometime later that's going to be brought up again by somebody else. And then people will say, yeah, it's a good idea, and then it happens. That's why I keep saying, everybody, by the end of this century, America is not going to be the same country it is right now. We are in a transitional state right now. Okay, all of us. We're living through a very rocky time in America, where we are paying for the last 100 years of prosperity and stuff that we had. It's all coming back to us now, and a huge fucking bill has to be paid. A bill against, first and foremost, for the environment. We have to pay back on that. We have to pay back on the damage we've done to society in that 100 years. Okay, that's all coming back in our face. We have to pay back in, the way we've treated other countries in the world. Okay, so we have things coming at us here that we can always point back to the 20th century as being the beginning of the problem that is so big today that we got to deal with. That's why I'm saying, the last 20 years was our hurrah, look what we can do, and, fuck the environment and screw everybody else, and hooray for me and tell what you. Now we're paying for that. This is the century of payback. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I really don't. But I do know that it's going to cost the country in the end big time. It's going to cost us a lot. And we're going to lose a lot of what made America America in the process. There's no other way you can do it, okay? Because we got a lot of wacky people in this country who have had a lot of years of being miserable and thinking that things could be better, okay? And, after a while, people like that gain momentum. And before you know it, you got instability. I mean, that's brewing right now. We saw on January 6th what it's capable of becoming. And that we're going to see a lot of that in days to come. We're going to see a lot of that in days to come, sorry to say. Okay? But I'm not saying the future is set in stone. But I'm saying that the odds of it being the way I'm describing it is pretty good. Okay? But only we can prevent that. Only we can take the better road. Only we can control ourselves. And whether or not we want to go down that road. Do we want to make it so miserable for our next generation to grow up in a country that really has no identity anymore, that doesn't know what it is? Okay? Do we really want to give that to our grandkids and stuff like that? I sure as hell don't. I mean, I know what it was like growing up. It was tough enough as it is, but, I feel like I had it easy compared to what the next generation is going to have to put up with. I really do. And I just feel sorry that, we're handing them this friggin' lemon of a fucking country here that we ruined. And all I can say is, I hope they're smarter than we are and learn how to do things better than we did. Because we haven't come through it all. And I really hope that they remember these times and learn from our mistakes. For Christ's sake, learn from what we did wrong. Jesus, I can't emphasize that enough. I can't. All right, so that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great upcoming weekend. Let's say it's Thursday right now, but stay warm out there. Be careful on the roads if you're where you're living. If there's snow on the ground, okay, especially those folks out in California that never had to deal with this. It's slippery. I hope you have snow shovels. I don't know if you guys have those things out there, but that's important. And if you can find salt, rock salt or something like that to put on your driveways or on the roads, that'll help to keep traction under the wheels. But maybe you ought to be telling your cities to invest in snow plows if they don't have them already. Okay, not the graders that they're using, but actual snow plows. They got dump trucks that would have a V-plow on the front. Get them to buy those things, okay? Because you're probably going to need them in future winters or something if the trend is going to happen the way I think it is. So be careful. Keep your ears open to COVID-19 news in your area. And subscribe and comment. And treat each other nice, okay? Any change for the positive always begins with treating each other nice. When you do that, things are easier to deal with later on. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.